online already, just give a big hi to Bobby here. So, and Bobby, so for everyone who doesn't know about you so far, so please, can we have a few words about who's Bobby and what he has been working on, and then what made Bobby to build Emojise? A few words from you, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Bobby. I'm living in London at the moment in the UK. I've been web developing for about a year
Online
now,
already,
and
just give a big hi to Bobby here.
sorry, something just happened.
No, sorry, that was from YouTube. You can just skip. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, no problem. So yeah, like I said, I've been developing for about a year now, and Emojize, the tool that we're going to talk about today, is really the first sort of tool that I've released into the wild. Um, I've prepared a short presentation which we can go through, and I'll explain a little bit better about what is Emojize, why I built it, and who will benefit from it. So let's get started.
Excellent.
So
So,
what is Emojize? It's essentially a tool which was built essentially as a result of frustration with current feedback collection platforms. So as you know, most websites now have like a feedback section where you can provide valuable information and opinions about their website. But most of the current solutions, most of the current platforms just don't do the job too well. And I decided to build something that I think might be better and might be more useful to companies, to users, and everyone alike. So first things first is, why is customer feedback important at all? Well, of course, customer feedback allows your existing customers and audience to provide really their insight on their needs, their experiences, their expectations. It leads to, of course, that leads to higher customer satisfaction in time and retention, because when you know what your customers want, you can essentially work towards that goal and reach whatever they want you to do, which leads to higher customer satisfaction and in time higher growth. Now, as I mentioned, there are a couple of problems that I have found with current solutions. Now, most of them, they tend to be too long. They require too much input from the users, which kind of puts a lot of people off. They're overcomplicated. There's too many features, and you kind of lose track of what you're trying to do. And they're simply unengaging. So that leads to users essentially losing interest before they can actually provide that valuable information, provide that valuable feedback. Now, Emojize, on the other hand, is all about simplicity, really. We try to simplify the process of customer feedback collection. And when I say simplify, I mean all aspects of it. So from the initial setup to the actual collection of the feedback, the users actually voting and actually providing that feedback, their opinions, all the way to gathering and really analyzing that information, because customer feedback is only useful if we actually do something with it, if we actually use it. So with to explain why Emojize is so much simpler, I'll demonstrate that you can get started in really just a few steps. There's 3 or 4 steps that you can just follow. It will take you no more than 5 minutes and you're ready to go. Number one, of course, is you create and set up your widget. That only takes you a couple of minutes. You can do that through the platform. After that, you'll get your special sort of embed code, which you can put on a lot of different platforms, whether it's WordPress, Shopify, emails, blog articles, your normal HTML website. Really, the possibilities are limitless. Then after that, your users can go ahead and leave their feedback straight away. Now, one of the newest features that we have is users can now leave their feedback with just a couple of mouse clicks. They don't even have to input anything. They don't even have to type their own answers, which of course greatly increases the number of responses that you're going to get. And then, of course, number four is you simply have to analyze that information and improve your product or your website, your content, whatever it is you're trying to improve, using our simplified dashboard, where you'll get an insight on the user's feedback. Now, why would you use Emojize? Well, if you're a website owner and you want to improve your website, if you're providing a product or a service and you want to improve that, of course, or you just want to improve your content. If you're a blogger and you just want to provide better content, write better articles, you can use users' feedback and input to improve that. There's really much more you can do with this. Really, anything that you can think of, any sort of product or service that you're providing to your users, you can use their input and improve it. Where can you use Emojise? Well, I mentioned a couple of places, but you can put it in your website. Really, any website that you have, whether it's an e-commerce website, just a normal content informational website, or really anything. You can use it in your articles. There, as you can see, there's an option to essentially embed it as part of your content, so it doesn't kind of stick out as something exterior. It just kind of blends into your content. And you can also put it into your emails. So if you're sending out support emails or newsletters or really any kind of emails to your users, your customers, you can just put your widget in there and you can get feedback straight from your emails. Now, who should use Emojise? Well, really anyone who runs or has any of those three things. So that means, you know, website or product owners, bloggers, marketers, email marketers, really anyone who has any sort of contact with external audience and external users. Now, key differences between us and some of the competitors. The use of Emojise provides essentially a quick way to judge the overall performance or how well you're doing. Through the use of Emojise, you can easily kind of determine how well you're doing, whether customers like it or not. You can embed the widget as floating or inline. So as I mentioned previously, you can choose to embed it as part of your content, so it doesn't stick out, it doesn't look weird on your website, it kind of blends in. One of the newest features that we have is you can now highlight an element from the web page. So once a user submits feedback, they can choose a particular element from your website and then send that together with their feedback. So that could be useful in cases where you have a problem. There's a bug on your website, for example, a user has found it, and then they attach a screenshot of that particular element. But once you see that feedback, you know exactly where to look and you know exactly what to fix. And number 4 is you can now vote for existing responses. So rather than the user having to type their own response every time, say they found a problem on your website or they actually like your website, rather than having to type out, if someone else actually submitted a similar response before them, they can just vote for that existing response rather than having to type up, which of course means that it's much easier for them to submit feedback. It means you'll get a lot more responses. And it means that you know what to prioritize, where to actually allocate your resources, because the more votes a certain response has, you know that it's more important and more users want that particular thing. So I think we can now go ahead and take it for a spin, really, and just demonstrate what it's all about, rather than me just talking over here and kind of boring you to death. So if I just share my screen in a second.
Yeah, we have questions coming in, but then that can wait after the demo is over.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
We have some questions coming in, but then I guess the questions can wait.
Yeah, so we'll do a question answering at the end of the presentation after the demo.
Lovely.
So let me just share my screen. 1 second. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is essentially the platform. This is really Emojise. So after you've signed up or you've purchased a lifetime deal from SaaS Mantra and you log in for the first time, this is sort of the welcome screen that you're going to see. You'll be greeted with this message, and you can just go ahead and create your first widget or your first campaign. This is the creation screen. On the left, you see all the settings and options that you can play around and change. And on the right, you see a live preview of the widget. So any changes that you do make on the left, you'll see them in action on the right. Now, first things first, we need to choose a widget name. This is only seen by you and can be anything really, but it's just something to give you meaning of what the widget is about. So, for example, I'm going to embed this widget on a website later. So to me, it makes sense to call it something like website feedback. Then number 2 is domain name. Now, a few people kind of had problems and questions with this. This field here, you have to input the domain where you will embed that widget. So for example, if you own, let's say, I don't know, you own youtube.com and you want to embed this widget on youtube.com, you type in youtube.com, because this widget will then work only on that particular domain. It won't work on any other domain. And the reason for that is simply to do with security, because you don't want someone else kind of hijacking your widget and placing it on their website. So I'll type in a website which I own, which we'll check out in a second. And then further down, you have all these appearance settings which you can tweak. You can change the number of emojis you have. You can reverse the order. A lot of users requested this feature, so I put that in. So you can now change the order. As you can see, the negative now goes on the left and the positive goes on the right. Really, this is all sort of self-explanatory. You can change the positioning and the way it's embedded. As you can see, now it's in line. It's part of your content. It's blend in. It's not sitting on top of your website like this. You can position it on the left, on the right. You can delay the widget. So rather than it loading automatically when the page loads, you can delay it for a certain amount, for 30 seconds, a minute, and so on. Let's leave it as automatic for now. You can, of course, exclude pages. So if there are some pages that you don't want to, if there are some pages that you don't want to show the widget, you can just type them in here, and the widget won't show on those pages. Now, one thing I do need to mention, though, with the excluding pages is that doesn't work particularly well with single-page applications, of course, because the widget only gets loaded once. It doesn't reload every time you change the page, because it is a single-page application. So this doesn't work too well with that, but for normal websites, it's absolutely fine. Of course, you can change the coloring. So let's make it red. Now it stands out a little bit more. And keep going down. You can change all these texts here. So first one is the main button, which you see right here. You can change this to whatever you like, so page feedback, for example. Then you can change the title, so the main sort of section here. You can change this to whatever you like. So say, for example, you're asking for feedback on your service. You can just say everything about service or your page, or really anything that you want to collect feedback on. As you can see, all the changes are happening in real time. Then we have the subtitle. So this is just some more piece of text if you want. It's only optional, so if you want, you can even get rid of it. Then we have the submit button text. So if we click on it, you'll see a preview of it on the right. So this is the button that the users will see. Once they click on an emoji, they'll have to input their answer here, and then they'll have to click this button for their feedback to be counted. You can change this to anything. So let's go to submit feedback, for example. Then you'll see the placeholders in this sort of text area here. So once a user clicks on an emoji, as I said, they'll see this text area where they'll have to input their answer. Now, depending on the type of emoji that they click, whether it's a positive one or a negative one or a neutral one, they'll see different placeholders. So if it's a positive emoji, so if they click on the one with the stars, they'll get this message: please describe your experience, and then you have to type something in. If they click on a negative or a neutral emoji, so one of these two here, they will see this message: please describe what went wrong. And of course, you can change that to something else. Let's just leave it like that for a second. Then, of course, you see the thank you message. You can change any of that. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then we reach the bottom section, which is probably the most important one. Now, of course, the bottom one is just to get rid of the powered by Emojise message, which you see on the right in the widget here at the bottom. If you just click here, you disable it, and that message gets hidden. Now, one thing to mention, these three features here, they are only for our paid users, for our pro sort of subscribers. But if you do purchase a lifetime deal from SaaS Mantra, then they are available to you. Now, these two are essentially the most important ones. Of course, the element screenshot, if you enable it, you can see this little button here. So once a user types their answer, they'll have the option to click this button and then select any element on your web page and send that as a screenshot. You can change the message. So this, once you hover over it, you see this little message: select an element from the page. You can change that to anything you like. And then further up, we have the response voting. So if we enable that, you can see the feature where users can now vote for an existing response. So if a user has voted for this emoji, for example, with the stars, and they want to say, I love your logo, rather than them having to type that and then sending that, all they can do is they can see that someone else actually submitted that response before them. Rather than having to type it out themselves, they can just click on that response and submit it, rather than having to type it all themselves, which of course saves them a lot of time, saves them effort. They can just do everything with a couple of mouse clicks. Makes life much easier for them. So that's really it with setting up the widget. Let's go ahead and embed it now. If we click on the button here, you'll be taken to our embed screen. And here you'll see all the instructions for the various platforms. So wherever you want to embed your widget, whether it's on an email or any of our sort of platforms here that you see. For this example, I will be using WordPress. So let me just go to the WordPress section. And here you'll see all the instructions. So number one, we simply copy the code that you have in the text box. And then the second step is to install a plugin from the WordPress directory. I've already done that for my example website. So now I'll go ahead and show you how to actually set it up, and then we'll see the widget in action. So we'll actually give some feedback to see how it all works. So if I share my screen again to another tab, hopefully everyone can see that. This is the WordPress dashboard, the admin dashboard. So if you have a WordPress website, obviously this is where you log in. As I said, I've already installed the plugin from the directory. Once you've installed it, you just go ahead and go to settings and then Emojise. All this is in the instructions, of course. So this is the settings page of our plugin. Here you simply paste the code that we copied earlier, hit save changes, and that's it. Our widget is now embedded on our website. Let's go ahead and test that out actually. This is our webpage. It's obviously very simple. It's just an example that I created just to show you the widget in action. As you can see, everything worked correctly. It's over here on the right. This is our widget. Let's go ahead and hit the button. And this is exactly what we created earlier. Let's go ahead and provide a simple feedback, just to give you an example. Of course, as you can see underneath, there are no existing responses at the moment. So of course, we have to type out ourselves. So for example, I like your heading. And now let's go ahead and attach a screenshot. Let's select an element. So we hit the button, and now as you hover over any element, you can see the border around it. So let's hit this title, and let's submit the feedback. Just wait a few seconds while it loads, and that's it. That's really all there is to it. Now we can go ahead and check out the response in our dashboard. So if I share my screen again, there we go. We're back to our platform. Just go ahead and go to the dashboard. And now you see the widget here, the widget that we created earlier. You can see sort of the main stats here. So you have the total number of votes, how many people have given feedback. You can see how many people have voted for each emoji. If we click on this widget, you'll see a more detailed view of the stats. So at the top, you see the main statistics. These are overall, so all together over time. And then on the right again, this is overall, so how many people have clicked on each emoji. And then underneath, you have the ratings over time. So at the moment, it's set to last 7 days. So this shows you the votes in the last 7 days. You can change it to the last 30 days, to last 90, 180, and so on. Now, the most important thing, of course, is to check out the actual responses to see what people have said, so you know what to work on or what people have liked. To do that, you simply click on this total ratings. As you can see, some of these elements are clickable. Hopefully you can see that on your screens. So if you click it, these are your responses, of course. For the moment, we already have the one. You can order ratings by how many votes they have or which one is the newest. You can also filter them by the status. I'll explain that in a second. But if you click on each rating, you'll see details. So these are the details. Obviously, you can see the emoji that they've chosen, how many votes it has, when it was submitted, where it was submitted from, country, device type. You can see the page that it was on, and of course, you can see the screenshot that they included. This is it. This is what the user saw when they submitted the feedback. Now on the right, you can see there are two sections which you can edit. Now the first one is the status. So what you can do here is, say for example, the user submitted, said something like, you need to fix your title, or you need to fix your, whatever element on your website. And one of your teammates, or even you, is already working on it. So you can change the status here from new, you can change it to in progress because you're already working on it. Or if you've already taken care of it and you don't want this to see this response anymore, you can just click completed. And that means that you don't need to worry about this response anymore. Underneath, you'll see a section where you can provide some internal comments, internal notes, which are only seen by you. So something like, someone's already taken care of it. And that's it. And then you can hit save, and that will be saved. One other thing you can do, at the moment, obviously it's not possible because there are no other responses, but you can merge different responses together. So what that means, if two users decided to submit similar feedback, so say two different users said, I like your logo, rather than seeing two different responses, you can simply merge them together into one. That way it takes up less space and you don't need to worry about, all these different responses. So let's hit save. And say changes are saved. As you can see, you can filter by status, so you can only see new sort of feedback. You can see in progress, completed. Of course, we don't have any of those at the moment. And that's it, really. You can check out page statistics. So whoever voted on which page, you can see we only have the one at the moment, of course. But if you click on it, then you will see all the responses for that particular page. Of course, at the moment, we only have the one. And then we also have the different vote types. So if you click on this, you'll see all the ratings which have that particular emoji. At the moment, we don't have any, of course. We only have this one. And that's it. You can, of course, edit your widget at any time. You can go ahead to get your embed code at any time, and you can delete it for whatever reason. If you don't want to use anymore, you can, of course, go ahead and delete it. You have the account page where you can find out details about your plan. A lot of people ask that after they've subscribed, they weren't sure if they were on the right plan. If you go to your account page, you can check out your current plan over here at the top, or if you keep scrolling down, you'll see the plan that you're on at the moment. You can see your invoices and all those other things. And that's it, really. I think we've covered the product demo. I think there's no more sections there.
So thanks for the nice demo. I mean, it was a complete workflow of the product. Bobby, can we have back on screen?
Yeah, 1 second. I'll also share one more slide that I have from my presentation, which kind of covers any upcoming features that we're working on, really.
Excellent.
So number one is, that's probably the most requested one, and that's the one that is actually ready. So at the moment, I'm only testing it out and should be sort of released in the next few days. And that's the ability to export and share results with anyone. So compile a report which you can send to anyone, whether it's another user or, if they don't even have an account with Emojise, you can just send them that report and they can see all the results there. You can even white label that. So if you're working with clients or anyone like that, you can share it with them. Number two is to share specific widgets with other users. So say if one of your colleagues from your company sets up an account with Emojise as well, you can share that widget with them so that they can see the widget, they can see the stats, the results, and they can edit the widget. Then number three is uploading own emojis. Again, that's quite requested. So rather than having to use the ones that we have, there's over 300 of them. So hopefully you'll find the ones that you like. But if for whatever reason you want to upload your own, we'll have that very soon. Then we also add the ability to redirect to a custom URL, to a custom link when users vote. So rather than them having to type in their answers through the widget, they can just be taken to like a landing page or your website, really anything that you wish. Then we'll also be building a Zapier integration. So anytime a user submits feedback, you can integrate that with other apps. You can, for example, receive an email or get a Slack notification, or really the possibilities then would be endless once we get that going. And then the last one is kind of a more of a long-term uh, task, which is to create survey widgets. So that means depending on whatever answers the users give, then they can be asked other questions. So rather than just having that one question, then maybe you could ask, a few more questions to really dig down deep into what it is they want and why they feel what they feel, and etc. And yeah, I think that's it. We can go ahead and answer any questions that you guys might have.
Lovely. Yeah, thanks for sharing that as well. So there are about like 10 questions. Let's start from the very beginning. Charles, right? So can I export the response as PDF at the moment?
So yeah, at the moment, no, but this is a feature that's coming in the next couple of days. We've already taken care of it. I'm just testing to see if everything works correctly, and everything should be ready in a few days.
Lovely. Lovely. And there is a relevant question from Laszlo. So is it also possible to export the file as CSV? So,
No, I'm only working on PDF at the moment. But if I get, if I manage to do the PDF correctly, then turning into CSV won't be much of a problem. So once we get that sort of core functionality of exporting the statistics, then if turning it into different file types won't be much of a problem.
Gotcha. Excellent. So, Bobby, just a quick question to that. I mean, relevant question to that. When you mentioned in one of the upcoming features that we are going to have a white label, custom white label as well. So, which means can we have our own brand logo or something in the PDF?
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah. So if you want to share it with clients, you can just put your own logo rather than using Emojise. So it's as if it came from you, that report.
Perfect. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, and then the next question, yes, from Laszlo, can you use one widget on more than one website?
So at the moment, no. I kind of thought about this, and really the reason why I decided to only kind of limit it to one domain is to do with security, because if you go on someone else's website, you can see the widget ID there, and you can kind of hijack it and then put it on your website. I wouldn't know why someone might do it, but there's people for everything. So I just decided it's better to kind of keep it to your own domain. So if whatever domain you type in, you can only use the widget there.
Gotcha. So let's just say that I want to use the same widget for multiple websites. Can I just clone them, and then can I use it on multiple sites?
No, at the moment, no. You'd have to create the widget yourself.
Gotcha. You can take this as a feedback, maybe like.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And moving down, so when voting is enabled, can you moderate the comments before they get published? Interesting question.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, when you enable the voting, is it possible to moderate the comments before they get published?
No, you see all the responses that users have submitted previously, but you only see the responses for that particular emoji. So if you've clicked on one emoji, you'll see all the responses for that particular one. You won't see all the responses over, all of the widgets. Sorry, no widgets, emojis. You'll see for that particular one.
Gotcha.
But you can't moderate them. No, you can't change them.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way that I can delete those comments later on? Let's just say that some bot has been hitting the site or something, some long triggers. So, or let's just say the competitor is trying to play around or some trolls. So, is it possible to delete those comments, like irrelevant comments?
You can't delete them, but as I said, you can merge them into others. So if you have one comment which is good and you like it, then you can just merge all the other ones into that one, and then you will only see that one.
Gotcha. So Lazarus replace let us know if there's a follow-up question to that. So Charles has another question. I want to use text along with emojis. Any chance you will build this feature, please? For example, I want to have a smile emoji with the text "Love it."
So as in underneath, or
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's like side by side. I remember I have seen it on some websites where you have.
yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. Yeah, we could add that in. That shouldn't take too long.
Right. Just to make sure that I'm on the right page with you. So it is not available, but it's going to be coming
No,
soon.
yeah, it's not available. No, but yeah, that could be added in. No problem at all.
Excellent.
That's really no problem.
Would be fantastic. Yeah. So Laszlo has another question. Could you add a feature, include a page in addition to excluding ones? Because when you have a lot of page and you only want the widget to appear on one of them, it can be cumbersome to exclude all the others.
Yeah, of course, that's no problem. But when you exclude pages, you the way I actually changed this a few days ago. When you exclude pages, you can type in sort of like an expression, or a word, which any URL which includes that word won't be the widget won't be shown, so they will be excluded. So if you type in hello, for example, then any URL on your website which includes that word hello will be excluded. So that makes it much easier to exclude multiple pages rather than excluding one by one. So it
That
doesn't have to be an exact URL match. You can just use one word, and then whichever link contains that word will be excluded.
Gotcha. I mean that was clear, but then just reiterating Laszlo's question here. Maybe the question is around. Say I want to do a widget which I don't want to show on the home page.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah. In that case, having an include option would be like much more convenient.
yeah, that could be included. Yeah,
Yeah, excellent. So Laszlo, that's coming soon as well.
yeah.
So
Let me just take a few notes on all these things so that I can remember all of them.
yeah, and I can also send the recording to you later on. So we'll come
Ah,
in.
okay, great.
So someone anonymous, I don't have a name here either. So will you be adding like more widget templates than the two that you have been showing during the demo? Do you have plans to add like more widget templates?
What kind of templates?
There's no person to that. So anonymous, I hope you're still here. But please let us know like what kind of template you're looking forward to. Or you can just drop your suggestions on the deal page. So it will be much more convenient for us to take notes and then see what can be done.
Yeah, I mean, the widget is pretty much customizable, so you can kind of play around with it and see how you like it. But yeah, if you can elaborate on that, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Just
you're
so I know what it means.
if you're looking for any plug and play templates with like more specifics, that'll be helpful. Please drop it on the deal page so we can circle back with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So can I set up a way to auto send the responses to another person, say a client? Like as soon as the response has been received, can I just direct it to my client via emails? Is it possible?
So no, that's not possible at all at the moment, but it is part of the Zapier integration, which is why I'm working on it, so that you can any responses that come in, you can link it with other apps. So whether it's email, you want to send it to someone else, or it's a Slack notification, or you want to include it in a spreadsheet, or really anything, the possibilities would be endless. And this is what I'm working on at the moment, which is the Zapier integration.
Lovely, lovely. And another question from Shaz and Lazarus on a role play. So, can I use Emojise on private pages on my membership website? It's not going to be public, but only visible for those who are logged in.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, I haven't tested it particularly on those pages, but yeah, that should work fine. I've tested it on Emojise, the actual platform. Of course, you only see certain pages if you're logged in, and it works fine. Yeah,
Okay, so which means like it must be working fine for you.
yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Give it a try. So, and is there like a can we count on Emojis like an alternative to WhatsApp feedback?
Sorry,
WhatsApp has
alternative.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the alternatives. Yeah. They also have these highlighting element feature. The one thing that they don't have that we do have is the ability to vote on previous responses. So it makes it much quicker to submit feedback for users. And then it helps companies as well, because obviously the more votes a particular response has, it means obviously that you need to pay more attention to that one. It means more users have requested it, so you know where to look and where to allocate your resources.
Gotcha. That's a super detailed answer. Thank you for that, Bobby. And back to the moderation, Laszlo. So you mean if someone uses curse words in their comment, so there is no way to prevent? That's the
No, that's not something that I've thought about really.
but that's like something interesting to consider. Do you consider that,
Yeah,
Bobby?
yeah. That would be. I'll certainly take a note of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, just in case, even if it's not possible to moderate before they get published, an option to delete that instead of merging
Yeah, yeah,
would come in handy. So that none of the new visitors or new customers, they're not going to see those first words like forever. At least I can delete
yeah,
it. That should still be okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that was like a kind of like a rapid fire, but then because the product is like pretty neat, straightforward, and simple,
yeah,
so like super easy to take as well. So Bobby, I believe like your roadmap must be like a little bit busier than it was before.
yeah. It was, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So any other suggestions or recommendations or questions you may have, fam? Because we ideally want to wrap up the webinar within 30 to 40 minutes. We don't want to keep dragging. So, and we are almost there. We're like 42 minutes away. Just want to see if there's anything I missed. No. Yeah, Rohit, I see. Rohit has just joined. Rohit, we have a recording of this webinar as well. And if you have any questions, please let us know. If not, Bobby, thank you so much for
Thank you very much.
sharing this with us, and especially sharing the roadmap even before we ask for it. Much appreciate that. So, is there like a timeline of when we can expect those features going live?
So yeah, some of the features will be coming through in the next couple of days. Like I said, the exporting, the reporting, and then the also inviting, sort of sharing widgets with other users. That will be coming in the next few days, as well as uploading our own emojis. Some of them will be taking longer, like the Zapier integration. So hopefully in a few weeks, but I can't really give an exact time because obviously you have to test a lot of things. I have to be in touch with Zapier themselves. So hopefully in a few weeks, that'll be ready as well.
Won't take like long. I mean, having worked with companies that have been working on Zapier integration, I can very well tell you that they're going to take like more time. So I would say like just to be on the safer side, Zapier alone is going to take like 3 to 5 months easily. It's a lot of back and forth for Zapier. It is like a very long procedure as well. It's going to take like more time. I can totally see that. Moreover, when you integrate with a third party, there's like a lot of complaints that you have to go through as well. It's going to take like a bit more time. So maybe like you can look at other features in one, and then you
Yeah,
ready.
yeah. In the meantime, I'm working on all the features that I can sort of implement myself without going exteriorly.
Excellent, lovely. So thank you so much once again, Bobby, and thank you so much, Lazlo, Rohit, Charles, and everyone who has been on the webinar, has been active and then keeping your interesting questions coming in. So thank you so much, all of you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
See you on the next webinar. Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye bye.